Hi, this is Steve's teardown of a Dexcom G7 continuous glucose monitor. This is what one looks like after it's been fired. This is the monitor itself. I've cut off the adhesive. There is a needle, a probe, metal probe here. That I think was originally attached to the monitor. This is what I'll call a needle or sleeve that fits around that probe to get it inserted into the patient's arm. Once it's inserted, this isn't there. The needle is there. Normally in a spent one, the needle is retracted. I've removed the needle from this because I lost the battle too many times. Okay, I'll walk you through how to rearm this. There's 4 cups involved. The outer cup, I'll call it cup 1. Cup 2 is this plastic cup. There's a spring between cup 2 and cup 3. This is the 3 and 4 unit. Cup 3 is a spring between 3 and 4. Spring. And cup 4. Go to these in reverse order. Cup 4 holds the needle. Holds the needle here. Let's see if I can expand this a bit. Cup 4, this is platform holds the needle. This blue arc is the locking mechanism to prevent the needle from injuring the patient's brother once it's been fired. There's a T mechanism to keep all the parts aligned. All these fingers are what holds the probe, the device in place. You'll need to notice this square, this ledge, I'll explain later, is caught by a finger out of cup 2. And these are what I'll call the pinch receptacles. I'll explain more about that later. Then there's a spring that goes between 3 and 4. Cup 3. The blue loop I showed you fits around. To reassemble these, I have to slide it around that hook. Once fired, this blue platform is what prevents 4 from sliding back into 3 and exposing the needle. So once it locks back here, 4 locks back here, so the needle can't get back out. These 2 black tabs fit inside what I call the pinch receptacles. There's a spring that fits around the outside of these 2 prongs, fingers I'll call them, and hooks under these shoulders, and then and that exerts inward pressure, a pinch motion, and then these 2 pinch points fit in those corners, and this mechanism presents outward pressure, which holds the spring in a unarmed position until a tab I'll mention in point 2 grabs on, and cup 2 grabs on cup 4 and arrests its travel and releases the spring mechanism between 3 and 4. This is the spring between 2 and 3. This is cup 2. Primary functions I know of here. These are the slots that the trigger mechanism locks into. Down here is armed. Up here is don't come apart. Also notice the 2 plastic springs down here that they push against cup 1 so that the button doesn't do anything until the patient compresses this against their arm. And down here this is the hook in cup 2 that reaches through cup 3 and hooks on cup 4 at a key moment. I guess I'll explain more about how that works later. Also notice there's 2 tabs here and here, and that correspond. This is cup 1. There's 2 tabs in cup 1 here and here, and this is the button that triggers the mechanism. These recesses are where the plastic springs in cup 2 reside. Okay, now I'll reassemble the device and explain how the pieces work. Okay, this is units 3 and 4 reassembled. This blue hook had to slip over that blue tab to get this assembled. After it fires, that blue hook will hit this blue tab, which will protect the needle and not let things stab the patient's brother. These are the pinch points I talked about. So there's a spring slightly recessed in there that's pushing in on these tabs, and then they, with a little bit of friction, they're pinching in cup 4 here. And that's what keeps this 3-4 unit armed but not triggered yet. What triggers it is that hook in cup 2 fits through this hole, and as this device travels towards the patient's arm, that hook suddenly hits this shelf, arrests the travel of cup 4. 3 continues to travel. Those pinch points are released. The spring can then extend beyond those shoulders and push cup 4 away from cup 3, which releases the fingers that are holding the device and retracts the needle. Okay, pause. Okay, this is a cup 3-4 assembly inserted inside cup 2 so that the latching mechanism is hooked in that square in 2. So this is now armed. Here's the spring that's going to fire 3 that way towards the patient. And here's the 2 springs that are going to hold cup 2 up in cup 1. I'll explain more about that in a minute. And you can't see it very well, but right here is that arm in cup 2 that passes through cup 3, ready to hook that ledge on cup 4 when this 3-4 unit travels far enough. The hook on cup 2 arrests cup 4, releasing the spring between 3 and 4, so the needle retracts after it's inserted the probe in the user's arm. So now I'll put 2 back into 1. The tabs here on 2 are going to hook onto the tabs down there in 1 so that it can't fall out unless you know what you're doing or you sawed cup 1 in half. Okay, slide it in. reduce the size a bit. Slide it in, you'll hear it click. Pass those two. Okay, right now the button doesn't do anything because those two springs on cup 2 are holding the latch mechanism away from the button. Now when the user presses this against their arm and pushes the button, the fun starts. The latch on cup 3 is released from cup 2. This 3-4 mechanism is launched towards the user. The needle will be coming through here and through a hole in the sensor itself. The needle has a U-shaped sheath that fits around the metallic probe in the unit, and what I'm calling the needle inserts the probe sensor into the patient's arm and is then retracted and held, latched, retracted in, so you can't hurt the patient's brother anymore. Then as this 3-4 comes out towards the patient, that hook on coming from cup 2 catches on cup 4, which arrests cup 4's motion, and then releases the spring between 3 and 4. So now 4 is going to withdraw from 3. It's going to let go of all these fingers that are holding the device. Now that it's touching the patient's arm, we don't need to hold it in place anymore. By then, the needle has inserted the probe into the patient's arm, so we need to withdraw the needle. And then 4 shoots back into this cup assembly and latches so that the needle can't hurt anybody anymore. So now, let's pretend I've pushed the unit. The patient is pushing this against their arm. They're ready to push the trigger, and this all happens very quickly.